Today's scripture is on Jesus walking on the water. In the beginning of this scripture, in John chapter 6, verse 16, talks about an evening came. And when you look at evening coming, you know that these disciples must have been waiting for a while for Jesus. And right before this scripture, it talks about him going up to a mountain and escaping the crowds and kind of sitting there and praying. And they might have been waiting all day, and they had a plan to go somewhere. And so it says in the next part of the scripture, it says that they got in the boat. And they got in the boat and they start just hanging out there for a little while. And then when Jesus didn't come, they rowed a little bit more and rowed a little bit more. And the scripture talks about them getting 3 to 4 miles out in the ocean. Now, or not out in the ocean, in the sea. And what's incredible about this and how this compares to our lives is that sometimes we get way out in our circumstances before we realize, oops, we forgot somebody. Got Jesus. Jesus is not here. He's still on the shore. And but we're already out there. So then we try to do what we know how to do. And it talks about in this circumstances that the sea started to come up, as they say. You know, a storm came up. The winds were blowing. And in our lives, sometimes when we get out there, we're out in the sea, circumstances come up, situations come up. Now, these guys weren't doing anything wrong. We always think about, oh, the devil's going to put us in a situation and make us do this wrong or that wrong. And it's not when we get into bad situations. It's when we get into okay situations where we're not doing anything wrong, but we're not doing anything right either. We could actually be doing something good. These guys were going where Jesus said that they were supposed to go. But they just forgot somebody. They forgot Jesus. So then, as the evening went on, they get out there. They see this guy coming. And now the fear comes up. The fear of who's this person coming towards them. They didn't recognize that it was Jesus. Sometimes when we get into fearful situations, we don't see God's messenger coming. We don't see Jesus coming and telling us where we're supposed to be at. We don't see that our salvation's coming, the thing that's going to bring us out of this circumstance, bring them out of the circumstance of being on the ocean here, or being on the sea, in the middle of a storm, and their thing they're fearing is Jesus coming to help them. Sometimes we're in the middle of a situation, the thing we're fearing is the thing that's supposed to get us out of trouble, the thing that's going to get us out of the circumstances that we don't want to be in. We've got to open our eyes. We've got to see those things that God has for us to see. Because sometimes the very thing that we're in fear of is the thing that's coming to help us. In this circumstance, they didn't understand that it was Jesus until Jesus said, "It is me, do not be afraid." Now, you might be in a circumstance right now where Jesus is saying, "It is me, do not be afraid." You've got to look and see and hear Jesus, because they're in a circumstance where it's midnight. It's in the middle of the night. It's in the middle of the storm. It's in the middle of the problem that you're going through, that Jesus is calling you, and he's saying, "It is time. Pay attention. Wake up. It is me. Let me in the boat. I'm here to help you." Are you the one that's in that circumstance today? Are you in the middle of your problem, waiting for Jesus to come, calling out, calling out, calling out, and Jesus is standing there saying, "Let me in the boat"? Finally, the disciples let him in the boat here, and immediately, as soon as they let him in the boat, it says they reached land. Now, they didn't say the land was anywhere close before this, but they said they reached land when they let him in the boat. They reached the place that God has for them when they let him in the boat. Are you hearing me? You're going to reach the place that God has for you as you let him in your boat. Let him in your boat tonight and see what God has for you.